There is a certain kind of person who walks into a room and instantly reads the energy. They notice the slight shift in a friend's tone, the unspoken tension between two strangers, or the quiet sadness someone is trying so desperately to hide behind a smile. People call this anxiety. Or they tell you that you are simply overthinking. But psychology suggests a very different story, a story about survival and deep perception. The hypervigilance that once protected you in the past has evolved into something else entirely, a profound, rare form of awareness. Some people call it traumatic intelligence. Sign number one, you possess an invisible emotional radar that never truly turns off. While others are focused on what is being said aloud, you are listening to the silence. You don't just hear people's words, you hear what they are desperately trying to hide. Sign number two, you physically absorb the emotional weather of the spaces you enter. You are like a human sponge. If someone nearby is angry, your chest tightens. If they are anxious, your breathing grows shallow. Their emotional state becomes your physical reality. This isn't a flaw. It is known as sensory processing sensitivity, a trait shared by highly sensitive people. Your nervous system is simply wired to process the world at a much deeper level than most. But where does this profound sensitivity come from? Sign number three, you are a master at de-escalation born from a history of tension. For many with this type of intelligence, their deep awareness didn't develop in a safe, predictable home. It grew in the shadows of unpredictability. If the adults around you were volatile, emotionally distant, or easily angered, you had to learn how to read the weather of their moods long before the storm arrived. In psychology, particularly attachment theory, this is seen as an adaptive survival mechanism. Your young brain learned that staying hypervigilant was the absolute only way to stay safe. Which brings us to sign number four. You find it incredibly difficult to simply relax. Even when the room is quiet and everything is perfectly fine, a small part of your brain is still waiting for the other shoe to drop. Your nervous system became permanently wired for crisis. So when there is true peace, it feels unfamiliar. Sometimes it even feels suspicious. But take a moment to look at what this adaptation ultimately gave you. You didn't just survive the chaos. You became a quiet, profound expert in human behavior. But possessing this kind of awareness comes with a heavy price. Sign number five. You suffer from a profound level of mental exhaustion. People often tell you to stop overthinking, but what they don't realize is that your brain isn't just spinning out of anxiety, it is deep processing. You are analyzing every micro-expression, every tone of voice, every possible future outcome. Neurologically, processing this massive amount of data requires immense biological energy, which means by the end of a normal day, while others are fine, you are completely depleted. This leads directly to sign number six, your extreme non-negotiable need for absolute isolation. For you, being alone isn't just a preference, it is a biological necessity. Solitude is the only time your brain can finally stop decoding the outside world and begin the slow, exhausting process of untangling the day's accumulated energy. You might feel incredibly guilty for canceling plans or needing so much time away from people. You might even wonder if something is fundamentally wrong with you for wanting to hide. But your exhaustion is not a weakness, and your isolation is not antisocial. It is simply the biological cost of processing a world that most people only skim. When you carry this level of deep processing back into the social world, you arrive at sign number seven. You instantly see through people's social masks. The renowned psychologist Carl Jung called this the persona, the artificial face we show society. Most people only interact with the mask, but because of your highly tuned radar, you instantly recognize their unhealed wounds, their deep insecurities, and their hidden fears. This is why you forgive people so quickly. When they lash out or act terribly, you don't see their hostility. You see a scared child throwing a tantrum in an adult's body. But this deep empathy creates sign number eight, the absolute quiet boundary. Sometimes you will walk away from a friendship or a long-term relationship completely overnight. People might call you cold or accuse you of abandoning them without warning. But you aren't leaving out of malice. You are leaving out of clarity. You don't argue. You don't fight to prove a point. You simply recognize a toxic pattern. And you realize that understanding someone's trauma does not mean you have to absorb it. You forgive them completely because you understand their deep pain, but you leave quietly because you profoundly respect your own. As you navigate these complex boundaries, you might encounter sign number nine, a persistent, quiet anxiety that you are somehow falling behind in life. While others seem to effortlessly hit the traditional milestones of success, You often feel like you are still trying to figure out how to simply exist. You might look at your peers and wonder why things seem so much harder for you. But the truth is, your timeline looks different because your curriculum was different. While others were learning how to climb the social ladder, you were learning how to survive emotional storms. You were intensely studying human nature and deciphering unspoken rules. You were not procrastinating. You were building an incredibly deep psychological foundation. Think of a tree. Some trees shoot up quickly, growing thin and tall in a single season, but other trees spend years growing almost entirely underground, expanding a massive, complex root system before they ever show a single leaf. You haven't lost any time. You are not a failure for blooming late. You have simply been preparing the soil for a life of profound depth. As you continue to walk your unique path, you will inevitably encounter sign number 10. You possess a terrifyingly accurate, almost instant radar for fake people. When someone is lying, acting out a part, or manipulating, most people only see the charming smile and hear the confident words. But for you, their energy feels like a loud, horribly out-of-tune instrument. You experience their deception not just as a thought, but as a physical dissonance in your body, because your childhood survival depended on anticipating highly unpredictable behavior. Your brain became hyper-tuned to notice the invisible, hidden details, a micro-expression that lasts for a millisecond, a slight shift in breathing, a stiff, tense jawline. While everyone else in the room is completely captivated by the charming performance, you are quietly sitting in the back, watching the invisible cracks in their mask. You don't need concrete evidence to know they are lying. Your nervous system simply rejects them. But this profound superpower comes with a very heavy, silent burden. Because when your brain instantly sees through everyone, it becomes incredibly difficult to trust anyone. You are constantly forced to see the painful truth, even when you desperately wish you didn't. If you resonate with these 10 signs, you might feel completely exhausted by your own mind right now. You might wish you could just be normal, to simply turn off the radar and stop overanalyzing everything, to finally stop carrying the heavy, invisible weight of everyone else's unspoken pain. But deep psychological healing doesn't come from amputating the parts of yourself that were born in the dark. Carl Jung taught that to achieve true wholeness, we must integrate our shadow. We must stop running from the painful adaptations of our past and instead welcome them into the light. Your traumatic intelligence was forged entirely in the shadow. It was born from fear, from unpredictability, and from a desperate need to survive. But you are no longer that helpless child trying to navigate an emotional storm. You are an adult who now wields an incredibly rare and powerful gift of perception. It is time to radically reframe the story you tell yourself about your sensitivity. Your hypervigilance is not a brokenness. It is a profound evolutionary adaptation. It is exactly what makes you the most deeply empathetic person in any room you enter. It makes you the only one who knows exactly what to say to someone who is secretly hurting. You are able to create a safe haven for others, precisely because you know how terrifying it is to not have one. But to truly wield this gift, you must learn a new skill entirely. You must become fiercely, unapologetically protective of your own mental energy. Because your radar is always turned on, emotional vampires will naturally gravitate toward you. This means you must learn the absolute, non-negotiable power of the word no. Not as an insult, not out of anger, but as a deeply necessary shield. People who are used to your endless, self-sacrificing empathy will inevitably push back hard. They might call you cold. They might try to make you feel guilty. But remember this, you are absolutely not responsible for their reaction to your boundaries. It is time to put down the heavy, exhausting backpack of trying to fix everyone. You were a chronic peacemaker in the past because you had to be to survive. But today, you only need to be the peacemaker of your own soul. This means curating your environment meticulously to lower your highly sensitive baseline, choosing quiet, predictable evenings over chaotic, loud crowds without an ounce of guilt, and keeping your inner circle extremely small, but incredibly, profoundly deep. This is not isolation. This is how you honor your brilliant mind. When you finally stop fighting your own mind and your sensitivity and accept that your nervous system simply speaks a deeper language, something incredibly beautiful begins to happen. You realize that the child who had to hyperanalyze every room has grown into an adult who can navigate the world with unparalleled grace. You no longer absorb the chaotic energy of the world. Instead, you observe it, calmly and from a safe distance. Your traumatic intelligence transitions from an exhausting survival mechanism into a powerful, undeniable guiding compass. It allows you to instantly read between the lines of human behavior, to spot genuine souls, and to build connections that are incredibly deeply real. You realize you don't need 100 friends. You just need a few who understand. And most importantly, you finally understand that there was never anything fundamentally wrong with you. You were simply built to experience the entire world in high definition. If you found yourself nodding along to these 10 signs today, please know that you are not broken or too much. You are simply a profoundly observant soul, shaped by an unpredictable past. You have navigated emotional storms that most people couldn't even imagine surviving. So tonight, please give yourself the permission to finally put down the radar, to stop analyzing, to stop anticipating the next drop. Because right here in this moment, you are safe. If this video helped you understand your own mind a little bit better, please consider subscribing to our channel for more deep dives into psychology. And if you know someone who constantly feels overwhelmed by their own awareness, share this video with them to remind them that their mind is beautiful. Until next time, keep honoring your depth. Take care. But other trees spend years growing almost entirely underground. Please remember, this video is for reflection and reference purposes only, and does not replace professional psychological advice. If you are struggling, please seek professional help.